Let's look at the weather, shall we? Did I tell you enough about it last night? Was I dead wrong every time I opened my mouth? However, we continue to look at the forecast. A chance of rain on this 53-degree night. It's actually pretty pleasant in downtown St. Louis, and who knows about tomorrow. We'll worry about that on Friday. The starting lineup for the Tigers brought to you by Bank of America, and this is that new look to Jim Leyland's lineup. He's got Granderson at the top, Monroe in the number 2 spot, but then Guillen is hitting third. Ordonez is still cleaning up. Casey is 5th. Ivan Rodriguez, Placido Polanco all the way down in the 7th spot. Inge and Jeremy Bonderman, the pitcher, he bats 9th. Jeff Suppan, the right-hander, the MVP of the NLCS, a 12-game winner during the regular season, had a lights-out second half, and it has carried over into the postseason with that ERA of 1.86. And now we look at the defense behind him. State Farm covers the field. A look at the Cardinal defense. Chris Duncan gets the start in right field. It's his first outfield start since Game 2 of the National League Championship Series. Preston Wilson across the way and left. And then a typical look on the infield with Aaron Miles getting his second start of this World Series. He is at second base. Right down the street, Anheuser-Busch in the 2006 World Series, brought to you by Budweiser Select, brewed longer for a bold taste that finishes clean. Expect everything. Curtis Granderson just getting some of the nerves out and making new friends down behind the Detroit batters on deck circle, and he is set to go and lead it off and try to do something about this Tigers team average of 185 during the World Series. Little soup call from the fans here in St. Louis, and ball 1. Granderson, Monroe, and Guillen. If anybody gets on, Ordonez. Played 3 games. The Tigers have scored 5 runs. A little floater caught by Eckstein. 1 out. Here are tonight's MasterCard keys to the game.
A collective effort needed from the Detroit Tiger offense. And for the Cardinals, they're going to try to continue to force mistakes and capitalize. 5 errors for the Tigers and 5 runs scored by the Tigers. 3 of those errors, by the way, by their pitchers.
Here's Monroe, who has homered. Did that in Game 2. But at the top of this lineup for Detroit, an .088 average. 3 out of 34 so far in this World Series. He hit that home run in Game 2 to help Kenny Rogers. He grounds to the shortstop Eckstein. 2 out. So Monroe, who homered at the end of Game 1, homered at the beginning of Game 2, is out number 2 here in game number 4.
Only 2 homers that the Tigers have hit in the 3 games, both by Monroe.
Here's Guillen. Carlos Guillen is a .370 career postseason hitter, which is the highest among all active players that could be playing in today's game. But there are only 2 teams playing in this World Series, the Cardinals and the Tigers, and Suppan is working on a quick first inning.
Guillen moved into the 3-hole by Jim Leyland. Jim saying that had the Tigers hit over the first 3 games, Guillen's best spot is the number 5 hole, but they're not hitting.
Inside corner 0-2. 6 pitches, that's it so far in the first inning for Suppan, and he's got good movement. Nice tail to that fastball, and the count's 0-2. Here's the lineup for the Cardinals, brought to you by Bank of America. Eckstein leads off. Duncan is batting the number 2 spot. Then Albert Pujols, Jim Edmonds cleaning up against the right-hander. Roland, Preston Wilson, Yadier Molina, Aaron Miles, and Jeff Suppan pitching and batting 9th. These are two teams that are hitting under 200 during this World Series. Jeremy Bonderman won 14 games during the regular season. And here's the scouting report on this very good young right-hander.
Young 23-year-old right-hander, 94 miles per hour with a heavy fastball. His slider, as Kevin Kennedy said in the pregame, is his strikeout pitch, and the Cardinals will have to lay off that pitch with 2 strikes. Otherwise, Bonderman will eat you up.
Bottom of the first inning, no score, and a fastball pumped in there at 95 miles per hour. Strike 1 on Eckstein. Eckstein was hitless in this World Series until game 3. He had 2 hits. And that last point on your scouting report, too strong. His fastball looks awfully strong. It counts 0-2.
Yeah, he's answered that. As you said, 12 days since his last start.
A defensive swing by Eckstein just to stay up there. Cardinals hitting 196 as a group in this World Series, and the Tigers 185. So pitching has dominated. That was the clincher. ALCS Game 4 got a no decision. Those were his numbers against the A's after pitching against the Yankees in the division series. 8 1/3 innings, 2 runs on 5 hits. Even with the off day yesterday because of the rain out and potential with rain tomorrow, Jim Leyland will not play around with his rotation at all. 1 ball, 2 strikes on Eckstein.
Yeah, that's the slider that Jim Leyland loves, and that Cardinal hitters will have to lay off of when they're behind in the count. That ball out of the strike zone, low and away to righties, down and into lefties.
Eckstein hits it down the left field line into the corner. It is foul.
That ball down and in, pulled foul by a man that had only 2 home runs during the regular season.
Has 1 during the postseason. Playing with an injured left shoulder, the 1-2 pitch. This is Eckstein at his finest. Count went to 0-2, and now he is making Bonderman work for this first out. For Bonderman, since 2003, every year his innings pitched have gone up. His ERA has gone down. The 1-2, 2-2. Here are the numbers for Bonderman since 2003, and you see 214 innings pitched during the 2006 season, and his ERA has been steadily going down, down, down as Eckstein chunks it over to third. Tough play for Inge. Base hit.
That was a slider. The 2-2 slider, check swing. Eckstein puts it in play. Fine play by Brandon Inge, but no way to get the speedy Eckstein.
And a good play, Tim, a good play by Casey on the other end to come off the bag and save the throw from Inge, which was headed down the line.
A lot of people don't realize how very difficult that bare hand play is. Not only bare hand, but you have to have it in your fingers ready to throw.
Here is Chris Duncan. And there is a fastball for a strike. Duncan is 1 for 4 so far in this World Series. Tony La Russa asked him prior to this start which field he wanted to play, left field or right field. He says he feels more comfortable in right field. And he grounds one to short. Easy for Guillen to step and throw, double play. You know that Carlos Guillen is playing short. State Farm covers the field. A look at the rest of the Tigers defensively. It's Monroe in left, Granderson in center, and Maglio Ordonez in right. Inge at third, Guillen, Polanco, Casey. Ivan Rodriguez battling a sore hip, catching Bonderman. You saw that note at the top. Maybe you did, maybe you didn't. 5 errors in this World Series, 3 by pitchers for the Tigers. Here's Pujols. Good pitch from Bonderman, strike 1.
Sometimes key plays come early in the game as Pujols whiffs that slider. But how important was that double play early? Double play in front of Albert Pujols. Boy, nasty sliders. Woo.
He has fooled Pujols, and he's missed as badly as he's missed all postseason.
Oh.
2 out, nobody on. Bonderman trying to pitch around that leadoff infield single, and he deals a fastball for strike 3, 96 miles per hour, and it jumped after 1 here in Game 4. Tigers and Cardinals, no score.
An assortment of pitches for Jeff Suppan. Fastball, cutter, curve, and changeup. He is pitching with a world of confidence coming off those 2 fabulous starts against the Mets in the NLCS.
And he starts this second inning by facing Maglio Ordonez, who takes a strike over the outside corner. It will be Ordonez, Sean Casey, and Ivan Rodriguez against Suppan, who had a 7-pitch first inning. 0-2. When the Cardinals picked up Jeff Suppan, he was a 29-year-old right-hander who was known as more of an innings guy. He had changed organizations 5 times, and he has developed into one of the few big game pitchers that you'll run across on any roster. Pitching around a key error in the bottom of the 6th inning committed by Rolen after Rolen had been robbed of a home run by Andy Chavez, kept it 1-1. His right arm has pushed the Cardinals into the World Series because of that effort. Ball 1 to Sean Casey.
There is no question about it. Bases loaded and 1 out in that game in the 7th inning. Had the strikeout and the ground out. And then the Molina home run put the Cardinals in the World Series.
The 1-0 to Casey. Is it high in the air to right field? Might go. Back at the track. At the wall. Casey is homered to put Detroit on top 1-0. Sean Casey, who hit 5 with the Tigers down the stretch, gets his first of this postseason. Batting in the number 5 spot, he has put Detroit on top.
Yeah, I was just going to say, watching the Tigers take batting practice tonight, the guy who was eye-popping with his at-bats was Sean Casey. Keep in mind that Sean Casey is a lifetime 300 hitter for the Reds, down and in. All a left-handed hitter has to do is drop the bat head on it, and Sean Casey puts the Tigers up here in the 2nd inning.
Now 6 for 16 against Suppan with 2 home runs. That was his 2nd. And he puts Detroit out in front here in St. Louis in the 2nd. And a ball to Rodriguez.
That looked like a slider that was meant to be around the hands. Instead, it was down and in. And Casey took care of the rest.
Here's a 1-0 to Pudge Rodriguez. Fouled off to the right. Casey hit 3 home runs. Here's the reaction from the Tiger bench. 3 home runs with Pittsburgh and only 5 after getting picked up by Detroit. Not known as a power hitting first baseman, but that was a timely shot for Detroit, down 2-1. Rodriguez fights it off and grounds one through the right side, and Ivan Rodriguez has his first hit of this series and had been 0 for his last 23 prior to that base hit.
Suppan trying to come inside, and a little inside-out swing. And Pudge Rodriguez with his first hit of the series. First hit in 6 games, as Joe said. Now I think you're going to see the runner in motion somewhere in the sequence right here with Placido Polanco. Sometimes the best way to fight your way out of a slump, and he's been in one the last 3 games, is to put the hit and run on. This guy's as good as there is in the game in doing so.
Polanco hitless in this series, the MVP of the ALCS, and a check on Rodriguez. You know that La Russa is thinking along those same lines with his buddy Leland in the other dugout.
Yep.
Good contact hitter at the plate, a struggling contact hitter at the plate. Try to get something going on the bases with a hit and run. In for a strike from Suppan. Polanco hit .471 during the first 2 rounds of this postseason. That's why his 0 for 10 start to this World Series is so shocking. Polanco pops one into center. Edmonds is back to get it. Ivan Rodriguez is tagging and trying to get to second. He will make it as he took second base on Jim Edmonds. Good base running by Rodriguez. He pushed it, and he's in scoring position with 2 out.
Rodriguez went halfway, and then he saw Edmonds drifting back, catching the ball on his back foot. Jim surprised that Rodriguez would try it. Excellent base running by Pudge Rodriguez. Boy, that is a terrific play by Rodriguez. Not many guys would do that. Watch him go halfway. He sees Edmonds going back, catches it, going away from the infield. Good play.
Cardinals just appealed to see if Rodriguez left too soon. The first base umpire, John Hirschbeck, said he didn't, so now it's Inge. The Cardinals will walk Brandon Inge and pitch to Bonderman, who is 0 for 19 in his career swinging the bat.
So how important was that for Rodriguez to go to second base, forcing La Russa to walk Inge and get Bonderman up there, who's 0 for 19 in his career. That is a key play by Rodriguez. It sets up the 3rd inning at the very least.
So the intentional pass, and Bonderman will walk in hitless in his career with 12 strikeouts in his 19 outs. That's Jim Edmonds talking to Chris Duncan, the young right fielder, saying, hey, you got to tell me that he's going.
Yep, inexperience on Duncan's part, but there's no way for a center fielder to know that, because he's busy zeroing in on the ball.
Bonderman takes a pretty good hack. We were watching him during batting practice, and for a guy who's 0 for 19 with the 12 strikeouts, you think, well, he doesn't swing the bat well at all, and that's not the case. Lead runner is Rodriguez. Inge on at first, 2 out. 1-0 Tigers on the Casey home run. Bonderman fooled on the pitch. It's 0-2.
Good breaking ball from Suppan. Jeremy may see that pitch again.
Took a fastball outside, ball 1. Cardinals in their half of this second will have Edmonds, Rowland, and Wilson. Ball 2. On deck is Granderson, who hit a soft line drive to short to start this night. Suppan trying to ring up his 3rd strikeout of the night. Strand a couple. Still 2-2. Tony La Russa, who we just showed you, has named his starter for tomorrow because of the rain out last night. He is going to skip Anthony Reyes, who was the winner in game 1, and go to the loser from game 2, Jeff Weaver, against Verlander. Here's a 2-2. Bonderman just got a piece, did a good job to do that.
The biggest difference between the Cardinals and the Tigers from a pitching standpoint is that the Detroit Tigers, one of the best rotations in baseball featuring Kenny Rogers, but they have 4 in their rotation. The Cardinals are dealing with 3 pitchers now. So it's 3 starters for the Cardinals, 4 for the Tigers.
Bonderman has made Suppan work and grounds one to first right at Pujols. The inning is over. However, the Tigers strike first. We go back to that play in the top of this 2nd inning, caught by Edmonds, and then Ivan Rodriguez took advantage and took a base.
And then Jim Edmonds telling Chris Duncan, who's only started 19 times in right field this year, let me know something. And now Chris saying, I saw Jim going back and talking to David Eckstein. Inexperience showing up there on Chris Duncan's part.
Edmonds will walk to the plate first up against Bonderman. Jeremy made a start against the Cardinals on June 25th. When 7 innings, allowed 1 run, struck out 8. And he allowed a leadoff infield hit to Eckstein in the first. Duncan bounced into the double play. Pujols struck out on 3 pitches. And now Edmonds first up. Edmonds, who played in only 4 games during the final 6 weeks of the season, has answered the bell every game in the postseason for the Cardinals. Tony La Russa did not know what to count on from his center fielder, the 8-time Gold Glove Award winner, and he's been there every day now. And he goes after the first pitch and fouls it, strike 1. First pitch has been so crucial for Edmonds in this postseason. When the count has started 1-0, he's hit 400. Make it 500. When it started 0-1, Edmonds is hit 240. The count is 0-1 with Rolen on deck.
That's why you hear pitching coaches say, get ahead of the hitter and try to get the first out in the inning. Get the leading lady.
1 ball, 1 strike.
That was an expression of Joe Becker, who was a pitching coach back for Leo DeRocher for the Cardinals for 1 year. Let's get the leading lady, guys. Every time you left the dugout, get the leading lady.
Never got old, I bet.
No, didn't.
The 1-1. Edmonds, good rip, fouled it back. Strike 2. Edmonds so far in this World Series 4 out of 9, and he had the key hit in game 3 with the bases loaded and 1 out against the lefty Nate Robertson. Put the Cardinals on top 2-0, and at that point, the way Carpenter was pitching, as Jim Leland said, they could have been hitting for 2 more hours and not scored any runs on Carpenter. That slashed foul. Still 1-2 on Edmonds.
Bonderman very impressive in the early going after that 12-day layoff. Once again, that slider down and into left-handers, low and away to right-handers. His favorite pitch when he's ahead in the count. He's ahead in the count right here.
And Edmonds strikes out to start the 2nd, and let's check in for the first time tonight with Chris Myers.
Hey, Joe, from down on the field here, the weather report so far so good. No rain expected until about midnight local time. The field in excellent condition according to the players after batting practice. The left field spot a little damp because of the tarp where the grass meets the warning track. And all the outfielders are wearing metal cleats tonight for better grip. Maglio Ordonez switched from the preferred rubber cleats to the metal. Curtis Granderson said we'll play fly balls that land in front of us cautiously because the surface in the outfield grass is slick. Speaking of slick, let's go back up to Joe and Tim.
Thank you, Chris. 1 ball, no strikes now on Scott Rowland. A lot of talk during the NLCS about the relationship between Scott Rowland and Tony La Russa. There is no talk about it anymore because the Cardinals got through the Mets, and here they are in the World Series leading 2-1, and he has had, Rowland has, an 8-game hitting streak. He's hit in every game since La Russa benched him in Game 2 against the Mets. A little high and tight, 2-1. Up to that point, when he was benched, Rowland had been 1 for his last 29 in the postseason. So he has turned it around. And he gets under it, pops it foul, and that ball will get out of play. 2-2.
Scott Rowland, not unlike most major league players. When I'm not playing, I'm unhappy. When I'm playing, I'm happy.
And within that, if you ask Scott, not being told that he wasn't going to play that Game 2 and finding out about it when he got to the stadium is what didn't sit right. But all that is ancient history now with the Cardinals in the World Series. A 2-2 pitch. Good pitch from Bonderman. Rowland checked his swing. It's a full count.
Fastball just misses outside.
Still a full count with Preston Wilson next. Rowland part of that combination who, with Jim Edmonds, combined to go 1 for 30 in the World Series against the Red Sox in '04 without an RBI. Including Edmonds' strikeout in this game, they are a combined 9 for 23 with 5 RBIs. Helping to support Pujols and the rest of this lineup. Against the Tigers, 3-2 pitch is grounded foul again.
Scott Rowland turning around and asking Mike Winters, the home plate umpire, if that pitch was a ball. It was inside.
Another 3-2, another foul ball. Bonderman had a roller coaster type season. He started 11-4 through the end of July and then went through an 0-4 stretch with a big ERA of 5.5. But since the 11th of September, he's undefeated. 4-0. And Rowland hits one in the air to left field. Back at the track, Monroe for out number 2.
Rowland hit that ball just above the trademark. Was not on the sweet spot. It's a thing about Bonderman's fastball, that tailing heavy fastball. It's very difficult, even when you make pretty good contact. It's tough to hit him out. He allowed 21 home runs this year, which is not a lot for a guy who worked 214 innings. Monroe makes the play on the warning track. False alarm.
Now Preston Wilson with 2 out. Takes high ball 1. Preston had to wait 1,083 major league games before he finally got to the postseason. This World Series 1 for 7 in the postseason, 6 for 32. With just 1 RBI. 1-0 pitch. And caught a piece of Rodriguez for the second game in a row.
It was his right thigh in game 3, and that ball looked like it hit him on the right foot. Nope, hit him in the thigh again. That area is already bruised from that shot he took in game 3.
Here's a 1-1 on the inside corner, strike 2. Bonderman with 2 strikeouts. And he's allowed just the infield single. And Bonderman's going to need the tongue depressor or something to get the mud out of his spikes.
And the one guy who loves that is Ivan Rodriguez, flipping his mask off. And that's what happens when you get hit so many times. You get mad back there. You could see him grabbing his thigh.
The last swing by Scott Rowland. Mark Mulder is wearing a microphone for us in the dugout. Had this to say as that ball fell short and left.
Scotty hates it if you go, hey, good swing. It was a good swing, I would have hit a homer.
And so true with Rowland, who is a very smart and funny guy, and he just missed it. A guy who had 2 surgeries on his left shoulder last year. They told him it'd be a full year before he felt 100% healthy. Got off to a great start. And tapered off down the stretch. This crowd is getting restless while Bonderman takes his time getting the mud out. Before the game, Lou Brock, part of that '68 World Series between the Cardinals and the Tigers, threw out the first pitch.
What a player.
1-2 pitch. Wilson gets a piece.
It was Lou Brock's criticism of not sliding in game 5 in 1968, 37 years ago. And I'll tell you, that's a myth that has been perpetuated over the last 37 years. He should have gone in to home plate against Bill Freehand standing up. He was out, and Freehand deserves the credit, and Brock does not deserve the criticism.
The 1-2 pitch outside, 2-2. On deck is Yadier Molina. Wilson grounds it back to Bonderman. And Jeremy Bonderman, the 23-year-old, is through 2 uneventful innings. We go to the 3rd. Who's coming up? Top of the order for the Tigers, who lead by 1. Curtis Granderson will lead off for the Tigers. Top 3 in the lineup: Granderson, Monroe, and Guillen against Suppan. Took 7 pitches for Suppan to get through this group in the first inning, and he misses with ball 1. Jeff Suppan, a real likable 31-year-old from California, free agent to be, and certainly should cash in wherever he goes after this postseason and what he did for a little against the Padres, certainly against the Mets, and then whatever happens in this World Series against Detroit. Cardinals would love to be able to bring him back.
I think they will.
Here's a 2-0. Granderson rips it into right field. Over in the corner is Duncan. Granderson's got at least 2. Duncan plays it well out of the corner, and it's a leadoff double for Curtis Granderson.
We talked about it in the opening that the Tigers had to get Ivan Rodriguez, Curtis Granderson, and Placido Polanco going if they expect to beat the Cardinals. Well, 2 out of 3 ain't bad. First Rodriguez and now Granderson. That is the first time in the League Championship Series and the World Series that a hitter has had a hit to lead off an inning against Suppan.
Here's Monroe, who grounded out to short his first time. Craig homered in the first 2 games. Game 3 was 0 for 4, and he's 0 for 1 tonight. Changeup misses low. That's ball 1. So there are the numbers as Suppan gives up the leadoff double. And for Monroe, he's been a .211 hitter on the road during this postseason with 1 of his 5 home runs. Tigers lead 1-0 and trying to do something with this leadoff double. 2-0.
That's the thing, when you get your leadoff runner on, it builds the inning towards scoring runs cheaply. You can't score a run with 2 outs on a ground out, but you can with 1 out if the runner's at third base.
Monroe with a count 2-0 takes ball 3. On deck is Guillen. Carlos struck out his first time, but he has been the most potent hitter on a day-to-day basis for this Tigers team in the postseason. Again, hitting .370 in his career in playoff baseball. Three and 1. Tigers with 3 hits in 2+ innings. Monroe grounds to the left side. Rolen gets the high hop. Monroe does not advance the runner. Tim, your old friend Scooter is back, and he gets some assistance from Jeff Suppan as they describe the changeup.
Hello, friends. It's Scooter. Hey, kids. This is Scooter's pal, Soup, and I'm here to talk to you about a changeup. A changeup is a fastball that moves really, really slow.
Something that Jeff did for us during the regular season last year or the year before, I'm not even sure, and what better time to bring it back than to show a little personality from Suppan and describe for the kids what a changeup is. And that's one of the pitches in the arsenal of Jeff Suppan as he works to Guillen with a runner at second, 1 out. Ordonez next. Low, ball 1. Guillen during the regular season hit .320. 19 homers, 85 RBIs. Trying to come up here with his 6th hit of this World Series. Down and in, 2-0.
We haven't talked about the defense of the St. Louis Cardinals as far as their vulnerability is concerned. Chris Duncan with only 19 starts in right field, 40 in left. And you mentioned earlier that Tony La Russa gave him his choice, and he is in right field, and he is not a good defensive outfielder. Still learning the position of playing the outfield, normally a first baseman.
Good speed out at second base for the Tigers, and Granderson, 2-0 pitch. 3-0. On deck is Ordonez, a guy who has hit well in his career against Suppan. 17 out of 44 with 2 home runs. Suppan fell behind Monroe 3-0, came back and got him on a ground ball to third. Now it's 3-0 on Guillen. Guillen went after it on 3-0. It's 3-1.
Went after it, and it was a little bit high. You want to make that pitch be your pitch. That was not Guillen's pitch, and he fouls it back.
Crowd is quiet with a count of 3-1 on Guillen, and the Cardinals trailing 1-0 here in the 3rd inning. That's going to leave a mess. And Guillen's getting frustrated with Suppan, who's taking a long time and getting a sign from Molina. Yadier Molina, the 24-year-old catcher, has been getting better and better at calling games, and it's something that Dave Duncan and Tony La Russa are very hard on their catchers about. 3-1 pitch is low, and it's 2 on with 1 out as Suppan walks his second of the night. It puts 2 on, and it brings Maglio Ordonez to the plate. Kind of an oddity that all 3 times Detroit and St. Louis have met in a World Series, in 1934, which the Cardinals won, in 1968, which the Tigers won, and now here in 2006. The Cardinals won Game 1, Detroit won Game 2, the Cardinals won Game 3. In the previous 2 matchups, the winner of Game 4 ended up losing the series in 7 games. Detroit in 34, the Cardinals in 68. Now Ordonez steps out.
When Suppan needs a ground ball, he goes to his fastball down in the strike zone. And that, for the most part, is what every pitcher does. You don't go for ground balls on all speed pitchers.
And a fly ball into left field. Ordonez got under it. Preston Wilson finds it in the mist and hauls it in for out number 2. Sean Casey will walk in. His last time up, he went deep, and Mark Mulder was on the bench with questions.
Oh, what was it? Changeup? Is that changeup? It looked like he was out in front of it.
Because it was down and in. The pitch was supposed to be right there. It ended up down there.
Out in front of it and hooking it for a home run. The only run of the night, and Casey has a chance to do some more damage. 2 on with 2 out. On the other hand, Suppan is 1 out away from pitching around a leadoff double. And Casey with a base hit into right field. That will add to the lead. Granderson will dig around third. They're going to bring Guillen around and now stop him late. And it's 2-0 Detroit. Casey with both RBIs tonight.
Sometimes if you hit a pitch and hit the ball out of the ballpark, when you come up the second time, you look for another pitch. The fastball was the home run. Now the curveball, and it looked like Casey was looking for the breaking ball. He got it and drives in his second run of the ball game. Not a bad breaking ball from Suppan. If you hit a pitch like that, you almost have to be looking for it. Good hitting by Casey.
Granderson scored easily, and then Guillen was being waved around and stopped very late by Gene Lamont. Now Ivan Rodriguez, first and third, 2 out, a chance for more, and Rodriguez takes a fastball for a strike. The reaction from Tony La Russa, a shake of the head on that base hit, and it was just a base hit by Casey despite it being down the right field line. He stopped at first. The 0-1 to Rodriguez. Checked his swing on a ball in the dirt, 1-1. Cardinals in their half of this third will have the bottom 3, Molina, Miles, and Suppan. Casey having a big night, being talked to by Andy Van Slyke, a former Cardinal, came up through the Cardinal organization. Came up in '83, played in St. Louis through '86, and was traded in spring training in '87 to the Pirates for Tony Pena. 1-1 pitch, 2-1. Van Slyke had a great career for Jim Leyland with Pittsburgh. And tried a number of years back to make the Cardinals team out of spring training, playing for Tony La Russa. Hit well in spring training, didn't make the club, and he hung it up. Here's a 2-1 pitch. Rodriguez, another base hit. It's 3-0 Detroit. Ivan Rodriguez goes the other way for the second time tonight. And the Tigers lead 3-0 here in the third inning.
So Granderson, Rodriguez, Polanco 0 for 34 coming into this game. Granderson with a hit, Rodriguez with a second hit. And once again, the Tigers getting that leadoff runner on. And when the leadoff runner gets on, he scores 43% of the time. And after that, the percentages are cut down dramatically.
So Ivan Rodriguez took advantage of that pitch that stayed up. And now it's 2 on with 2 out. And Placido Polanco, the other guy who's still hitless, and now batting in the number 7 spot, trying to add to a 3-0 lead. Lead runner is Casey, who does not run well, strike 1. So it's the same pieces to the lineup, just in a different order. And Polanco batting 7th. That caught a piece of Molina on its way back to the screen. Polanco's 0 for 1, but the other guys, Casey in the number 5 spot is 2 for 2 with a homer and an RBI single. And Guillen with a walk and a run scored, batting 3rd. The 0-1 pitch down and away, 1 ball, 1 strike. Coming in their careers against Suppan, Ordonez, Casey, Rodriguez, and Inge. A .393 average with 3 home runs entering tonight. Tonight 4 for 6 with a home run and 3 RBIs. Now a 1-1. Polanco takes a breaking ball low. So this has been a struggle for Jeff Suppan. A 22 pitch, 15-minute half inning for Suppan here in the top of the 3rd. A 3-0 Detroit lead, and Polanco grounds to short for Eckstein. We go to the bottom of the 3rd inning. Bottom 3 in the lineup coming up for the Cardinals. Molina, Miles, and Suppan. 2 more runs for Detroit. They lead at 3-0.
I think this one.
Jeremy Bonderman has given up 1 hit. It did not leave the infield. A clunker hit by Eckstein for a leadoff infield single in the 1st. He has made some good pitches since, and here he is leading 3-0 and dealing a breaking ball for a strike to Yadier Molina, who's had a great postseason, hitting .319 after going the entire season hitting .216. Out in front there, and it's 0-2. Molina, Miles, and Suppan, the 7, 8, and 9 hitters.
Tell you, no right-hander in baseball is going to hit that pitch. No bat's long enough.
Here's an 0-2 from Bonderman. Molina grounds to 3rd. Inge backs up on it and now shows off his arm. 1 out. Half past the hour, 8:30 here in the Central Time Zone, and we give you a game summary brought to you by Verizon Wireless. Sean Casey, his first career postseason home run. He wasn't finished. He got a 2-out RBI base hit his next time up, which led to another run. Ivan Rodriguez 2 for 2 tonight. And again, that note that the Game 4 winner in the previous 2 World Series meetings between these 2 clubs has gone on to lose. A little flare for a hit. Nice job by Granderson to block it and keep it in front of him. And Miles is on with a 1-out single here in the 3rd inning.
Watch Granderson play it on the short hop, and that ball gotten by him. Probably a double for Miles, but Curtis keeps the ball in front of him. Sometimes a center fielder just can't read those line drives. You think you have a chance, it gets down quicker than you think it does, but he kept it in front of him, holding Miles to a single.
Now Suppan, a career 195 hitter, has a home run this postseason. Got Traxel back in the NLCS. Figure a spot to bunt, and Bonderman steps off. Hit and run. Throw down to second, bounces in, and Miles is safe. Aggressive by Tony La Russa here in the third inning.
Especially when you're trailing by 3 runs. Suppan fails to get the bat on the ball. A short hop, and Guillen can't come up with it. That is very aggressive when you're trailing by 3 and use a hit and run with a pitcher who doesn't make much contact. Miles in there.
It goes down as a steal, and obviously a stolen base attempt. It was the front end of a hit and run. Suppan missed it. And it is the first stolen base attempt of this World Series as we play here in Game 4.
Yeah, we talked about it in the other 3 games. Against these 2 catchers, you're not going to run much, especially for teams who are not fast. And the Cardinals nor the Tigers have a lot of guys who are fast.
Among active catchers, Ivan Rodriguez is #1 in his career, throwing over 44% of base stealers out. Molina's #2 at 43.5. Now Suppan swings and misses at that slider down and away. It's 0-2. I don't think he came too close to that one.
No, you're not going to miss the ball by any more than that.
And have the catcher catch it. Two out, and strikeout #3 for Jeremy Bonderman. It's going to be up to Eckstein. Best thing Suppan did in that at bat was swing and miss on that first pitch to allow Miles to steal second, and now Eckstein has the RBI chance.
Well, that's a very good point, because what he didn't want to do, he did, and it worked.
Eckstein singled his first time. That's just 2 RBIs for this postseason. Nice play by Rodriguez. Ball 1.
Perhaps the greatest defensive catcher in the history of the game. Not perhaps, probably.
Who's fighting with him? Bench?
Jerry Grody, Johnny Bench. In more recent time, I think he's better than Bench, though. John, the best all-around catcher that I ever saw. That's a cross-up right there. He'll probably go out and talk to Bonderman. And time is called. Looking for the slider. The ball hits him on the heel of the glove. That's a cross-up. Looking for the local, you get the express.
Or maybe that was just Johnny Bench watching on TV back at home saying, miss it. That'll show McCarver.
I think if you ask Johnny, he'd tell you that Pudge, you know, if you played that position, you realize all the special things he does back there, from the throwing to the catching. Mechanically, I mean, this guy really has no peers.
There's Joe Garagiola. St. Louisan at the stadium tonight. 2-0 pitch. Eckstein lines one into left, and it's a 3-1 game. Eckstein will dig for second as he delivers with 2 out.
That was a pretty good pitch from Bonderman. In fact, Eckstein went down to get it. Right in here. That's good hitting by Eckstein. It looked like a fastball. Scooted on that wet outfield, and the Cardinals score their first run.
You see our United States Postal Service Fox tracks, and it was a 94-mile-an-hour pitch that Eckstein caught up to. Now Duncan, 2 out, and a strike hits the outside corner. One ball, one strike. Duncan, the rookie, hit 22 home runs during the regular season. Second best total by a Cardinal rookie ever. Second to Pujols, who hit 37 in 2001. Good fastball hitter. And he takes it at the knees, 1-2. And now Rodriguez wants to go talk.
Having problems again as Carlos Guillen is out to talk once again to Rodriguez and Bonderman.
So Bonderman, even though he's given up just 1 run on 3 hits, hasn't had any quick and easy innings either. A career high 214 innings pitched during the regular season. Thrown 47. This is number 48. And it's high to Duncan, 2-2.
One thing that the Cardinal hitters can look for off Jeremy is that most every pitch is the same speed. 94-mile-an-hour fastball, 91-mile-an-hour slider. Does not have a real good off-speed pitch.
That's tight on Duncan with Albert Pujols waiting on deck. Duncan works the walk to give Albert Pujols a chance here in the 3rd inning. First time around, Tim, Albert Pujols waved at 2 sliders way off the plate and then took a called 3rd strike on a fastball.
The slider, and now the fastball for a strike. But rarely has a crowd been this vociferous about a walk, but they realize the walk to Duncan brings up Pujols.
Pitching coach out to talk with Bonderman, while Pujols is presented with one of the few RBI opportunities he's had this entire month. In his postseason career, with runners in scoring position and 2 out, a .474 hitter. Ball 1. One ball, one strike.
Pujols has seen 4 strikes and has not had a good read yet.
To the left side, Inge stumbled going after it, makes the play, and the inning is over. A big out picked up by Bonderman getting Pujols. The Cardinals are on the board on an RBI double by Eckstein. 3-1 Detroit. Fourth inning now, and for the Tigers, 8-9-1. This isn't your typical number 8 hitter. Brandon Inge flies one into center. The guy who hit 27 home runs during the regular season is out number 1 here in the fourth. And we go down to Ken Rosenthal. Ken.
Guys, from what we've seen tonight, the Tigers' offense is starting to look more like it did in the ALCS. Manager Jim Leyland told us yesterday he wanted to see his hitters turn on more pitches, pull more balls. We've seen that twice tonight from Sean Casey on the home run and the RBI single, also from Curtis Granderson. And for all the talk about the Tigers' lack of plate discipline, first base coach Andy Van Slyke told me yesterday that he actually wanted to see the hitters be more aggressive. Van Slyke likens the Tigers' attack to an NFL offense in a 2-minute drill with no timeouts. Quick strikes, quick results. Guys?
All right, Ken, thank you. Yeah, that's been the talk. Where has all the patience gone at the plate that the Tigers displayed in the first 2 rounds? They've gone up there ready to hack. Coming into this game, they have a 185 team average in this World Series. Bonderman with a count of 1-1. He did not go in the count 2-1. That's John Hirschbeck, the first base umpire.
Bonderman holds up. Really not even close.
Bonderman grounded out to the right side with a couple on his first time up. Now 0 for 20. Swinging the bat in his career. He'll get some hits though, because he's got a swing. 2 balls, 2 strikes. On 2-2 with 1 out. A late swing and a miss by Bonderman. Strikeout number 3 for Suppan. 2 out in the 4th. Get tonight's game on DVD now at MLB.com or call 1-888-MLB-SHOP. So with 2 out, nobody on, Granderson, who has the double and started that 2-run rally that's the difference in this game in the 3rd inning, steps in.
Joe, one of the key plays in the 2nd inning, not only the home run by Sean Casey, of course, but once again, Ivan Rodriguez taking second base. They walked Inge intentionally, and then the pitcher Bonderman made the last out, and that opened things up for the Tigers to score 2 because Granderson led off with the double in the 3rd inning.
Ball 1 skips in there from Suppan. Cardinal infield in on the corners. 1-0 pitch. Granderson grounds to one of those corner infielders. Foul. 1-1. Curtis, who is making just over $300,000 this season to play for Detroit and put together that .260 average, 19 homers, 68 RBIs. His World Series share will be in that same neighborhood.
Yeah, he'll double his income if the Tigers come back and win this World Series.
1 ball, 1 strike, 2 out, nobody on. Suppan misses down and in. "15 innings in the NLCS, 1 run on 5 hits against the Mets, 3 runs on 5 hits tonight against Detroit for Suppan, and 3 2/3. Cardinals will have Edmonds, Rowland, and Wilson in their half of this inning. Granderson fouls another. 2-2. A 2-2. Granderson strikes out. Back-to-back strikeouts for Suppan. Bottom of the 4th inning in St. Louis. Cardinals come to bat, trailing Detroit by 2. This game gets into the bottom of the 4th inning. Game 4 of the World Series. St. Louis up 2-1, and Edmonds will dig his way in. Jim struck out his first time. 3-1, Detroit out in front tonight. Rolen and Wilson will follow against Bonderman. And ball 1. Remember, Edmonds is a .500 hitter this postseason when the count starts 1-0. Struck out his first time up, and now it's 2-0.
I mean, to sound simplistic, but when you're ahead in the count, you can look for a pitch, and normally the pitch will be predictable. That's the reason guys like Edmonds, Jim, very smart hitter, looks for a pitch, often gets it, and doesn't foul it back like that.
2-1.
Which spoils the story.
Edmonds is atypical of left-handed hitters in that he loves the ball up. There's a spot where you can get him out where it's way up and he'll go after it, but up around the letters, that's when he will launch. Grounds one to the right side for Polanco. Leadoff man is gone, and here's our chat with Cardinal manager Tony La Russa during the last break. Well, Tony La Russa, it looked like that last inning, Jeff Suppan started to get balls down and was pitching down in the strike zone or even out of it. He got the ball up a few times early, and that's recipe for disaster against Detroit.
Yeah, I think, he just wasn't feeling quite right. He's feeling it a little bit, and when he's aggressive, he's better.
That was a big RBI double for David Eckstein with 2 out to get you guys on the board to score that run. I know it presented Pujols with a chance. He didn't make good on that chance, but that was a big run for your team.
I agree with you. It gives us some momentum, and I mean, they pitched them the breaking ball the first time, and they got the ball in the next time. Albert will make an adjustment, but we got the middle of the lineup. But I agree, David got us on the board, and we're in the game.
A lot of talk before this game is our final question about who is going to pitch with all these rainouts and what have you. Because of the rainout last night, you have the chance to go to Jeff Weaver on normal rest tomorrow night, and that's the way you're going.
Yeah, it's if he's on his 5th day, I think it's a no-brainer. It'd have been short. We'll save Anthony for something else.
All right, thanks for your time, Tony.
All right.
Scott Rolen, meanwhile, has the count 1-2 now with 1 out, nobody on. Edmonds grounded out. Preston Wilson on deck, and there's Jeff Weaver, who was the starter and lost Game 2 in Detroit to Kenny Rogers. Rolen rips one into left field. That pitch was up from Bonderman. Monroe almost overran it, and Rolen is going to try and make it to second.
One of the National League's best base runners, a hanging slider. And Craig Monroe misplayed that ball. Had he not, Rolen has no chance of making a double. Excellent base running by Rolen. Watch the ball come back on Monroe. He had to pivot, and now the throw is late to try to get Rolen. But Rolen running hard right out of the box. That's good base running.
Now it's Preston Wilson. Strike 1. Rolen has not swung the bat like this since August for the Cardinals. He stumbled down the stretch in September. The left shoulder was bothering him. It was so much so during the division series that he made mention of it to Tony La Russa. He had a cortisone injection prior to the NLCS. Here's Wilson grounding to second right at Polanco. 2 out.
I'll tell you, the Scott Rolen, it was the story of 2 sliders. You may remember the next to last pitch to get the count to 2 strikes. And now the 1-2 pitch, a hanger on which he doubled.
Rolen's now at third, and Yadier Molina will try to drive him home. Molina with 7 RBIs during the postseason, 3 out of 12 with no RBIs during the World Series. Ripped to third, it's fair, down into the corner, it's a 1-run game. Molina will dig for second and make it with a 2-out RBI double.
was a fastball on the inside part of the plate. Molina appeared to be looking for it and hammers it down the left field line. So another big hit for Yadier Molina.
Said Roland hasn't hit like this since August. Molina hasn't hit like this all year. What he's done in the postseason, especially driving in runs and coming up with key hits, hasn't happened. And now with that double, Miles will get the intentional walk and Suppan will be cleared, like the Tigers got to do back in the second when they got Bonderman out of the way. Each side has been handed an intentional walk, and it's a 3-2 Detroit lead here in the fourth. So Miles, who has a hit, a steal, and a run scored, is on for the second time. And Suppan walks in. If you paid attention to our interview with Tony La Russa, he said that Suppan didn't feel good at the start of this game with his mechanics, with his release point, whatever it was he was feeling for it. Thought he looked better in that last inning. And now his team has come back and made it a one-run game. 2 on, 2 out. Suppan takes a strike. To the third baseman, Inge, foul. Strike 2. In the top of the 5th inning, the Tigers will have Monroe, Guillen, and Ordonez, the 2, 3, and 4 hitters. Good game here in Game 4 with the Cardinals up 2-1. Stay fair, and an easy hop for Inge, who throws for the out. The Cardinals get a run on a 2-out RBI double by Molina. 3-2 Detroit after 4 here in St. Louis. Back after this from your local Fox station. One-run game here in Game 4 of this World Series, and for the Tigers, they have to go back to work with Monroe, Guillen, and Ordonez against Suppan. We'll see if Suppan has settled into a groove now as the 5th inning starts with a grounder to third. Roland gathers, throws, got him one away. For more on Suppan, let's go down to Chris Myers.
Joe, Suppan told me before the game that he didn't think the weather delay would have a negative effect. He's one of those positive thinking visual guys, but he did say he couldn't shake his earlier meeting this year when he went 5 innings and gave up 3 runs against the Tigers. Said he was tentative. His location was off. Now, in that 3rd inning jam tonight, Dave Duncan, pitching coach, went out there and told Suppan, trust your stuff. You're a much better pitcher when you're aggressive. Since then, no batter has reached.
Thank you, Chris. And that's probably more of what Tony La Russa was telling us during our in-game chat. In that 3rd inning, 2 runs on 3 hits. And the RBI now by Ivan Rodriguez is the difference in the game. Couple of 2-out RBI hits. Guillen takes a strike. He's right on top of the plate, and Suppan got it in under his hands for strike 1.
Good fastball to Guillen.
The 0-1, Guillen. Same spot, a little farther inside. 1 ball, 1 strike.
That was interesting from Chris Myers. You know, dart throwers guide their darts. Pitchers throw baseballs. You start guiding the ball. And that's what Suppan is not doing and hasn't done over the last 1 2/3 innings.
Guillen off balance on a changeup, fouls it out of play off to the left. Strike 2. Guillen hitting in the number 3 spot. Has walked and scored and then struck out. That was back in the first. Top of the order will bat for St. Louis in the bottom of this 5th inning. 1-2 pitch. Just missed. 2-2. Ordonez next. Lines one into right field. That's a hit. Duncan is there to cut it off. Throws into second. It's a 1-out single. Here is Ordonez, 1 on, 1 out. And action starts for the Cardinals in their bullpen. It's interesting who is up and getting loose. That step off right there was called by the dugout. The Cardinals are trying to buy time for Tyler Johnson to get loose. On deck is Casey, who is 2 for 2 and has hit well against Suppan in his career. And the Cardinals want to get Johnson ready in case Suppan is in more trouble.
May call a throw over or another step off to further give Tyler Johnson time.
Drilled over the outside corner. Strike 1 on Ordonez.
Because if Ordonez, regardless of what he does, he gets on base or makes an out. If it's too quick, then Johnson will not be ready to face Sean Casey. So that's why Josh Kinney is now up and throwing.
There's the throw over. So the Cardinals have cleared Suppan's spot in their lineup. They just did it in the bottom of the 4th. So La Russa doesn't have to worry about when the pitcher comes up again for a while. He's got Casey on deck, then Rodriguez. So he's got the lefty and the righty getting loose with a very rested bullpen after the rain out last night. And basically an off night for the bullpen, except for Braden Looper 2 nights ago, with Carpenter pitching.
Yet another throw to first base. We would think that that would be a throw over called by the dugout again to give Johnson time to warm up.
Ordonez fouls it, strike 2. It's only 70 pitches for Suppan. But it's more the matchup that could present itself here with the next hitter in Sean Casey if Ordonez does something for Detroit. Of all active players, by the way, no hitter has more hits in his career, Suppan that is, than Maglio Ordonez against him with 17. Still 0-2. So far tonight, Ordonez has struck out and flied to left. Fly ball into left center field for Edmonds. That's out number 2. Hit an RBI single. Suppan gets a visit from Dave Duncan as we look back. That 2-out RBI hit saved the Tigers, who were in the process of wasting a leadoff double by Granderson, and then Casey was followed by Rodriguez, who got a base hit to right.
And that out by Ordonez saved Jeff Suppan and allowed him to stay in the game, because if Ordonez gets on, Johnson's in the game to pitch to Casey, but because he got Ordonez out, he'll pitch to Casey.
Now the same situation applies to the right-handed hitting Rodriguez on deck as Kinney continues to loosen. Casey is a .412 hitter in his career against Suppan. Add to it another hit. He's 3 for 3. Edmonds will throw to third, and safe there is Guillen. It's first and third, 2 out. We'll see if that's it for Suppan. Casey 3 for 3 tonight, hitting .444 against Suppan. And now Rodriguez, who is 8 out of 14 against Suppan, will be the hitter.
Good hitting by Casey, good base running by Guillen. Even with 2 outs, Carlos challenging the arm of Jim Edmonds. And I would think that Kinney will be in the ball game. I'd be surprised if Suppan pitches to Rodriguez, especially since Pudge has 2 hits against him tonight, both to right field.
Molina out to talk, but no sign of La Russa coming out to make a change with Kinney getting loose. Looks like La Russa will stay put, and it will be a matchup of Suppan and Rodriguez.
I'm surprised. I'm surprised that Kinney's not in the ball game right now.
Rodriguez 8 hits and 14 at bats against Suppan. 2 for 2 tonight. Grounds to the left side. Rolling underhands to Miles. Suppan gets out of the 5th. The Tigers have stranded 6. Top of the order coming up for St. Louis. Eckstein, Duncan, and Pujols. 3-2 Detroit. Here at Busch Stadium, and now the top of the order will bat for the Cardinals. Eckstein, Duncan, and Pujols against Bonderman. 3-2 Detroit here in Game 4. Eckstein's 2 for 2. 1 ball, 1 strike. To third, and a nice pickup by Inge. 1 out. Jim Leland was nice enough to join us for a chat during the last break. Well, Jim Leland, you changed your lineup around tonight, and it has paid off. Guillen has been on base twice, and Sean Casey's had a huge night for you out of that number 5 spot.
Yeah, it was nice to see Pudge Rodriguez get a couple hits. I was hoping for one more there. I was hoping he could repeat what Sean did and get the 3rd one, but yeah, you know, so far it's helped out a little bit.
It's easy to forget because you see the talent of a guy like Jeremy Bonderman. It's easy to forget that he's only 23 years old. How would you rate his performance so far tonight?
Well, I think he's fine. You know, he's a real aggressive guy, and sometimes that works for him, and sometimes it works against him. You know, so every once in a while you got to calm him down. You know, he wants to rush a little bit. Sometimes he wants to see the results before he throws the pitch.
All right, thank you, Jim.
Sure.
Jim Leland, manager of the Tigers. We have seen 2 quick outs. Good play by Inge, and the ball hit by Eckstein on backhand. And then Duncan chopped one to Polanco, 2 out. And Pujols bats with the bases empty. Had a chance last time up with 2 on and 2 out, grounded out, ball 1.
Bonderman so far has challenged Albert Pujols with fastballs. He struck him out on 1 and then jammed him with 1 the last time up.
2-0.
I've never heard a manager or a pitching coach say that a pitcher wanted to see the results before he threw the pitch. If that's not a definition of rushing out there, hitters do the same thing.
That's low and a 4-pitch walk. 3rd walk handed out by Bonderman, and it gives Edmonds an at bat here in the 5th. Take a look at the Travelers in sync box score for the Cardinals. Eckstein 2 out of 3 tonight. Duncan hitless with a walk. Same for Pujols. A double for Roland, an RBI double for Molina, and a run scored by Miles when Eckstein drove him in back in the 3rd inning. Edmonds hit 19 home runs during the regular season. That's 13 in his career during the postseason. 2 this year.
Bonderman has stayed away from Edmonds in all at bats tonight. I think it's a proper thing to do, even though Edmonds does have power the other way. Center field, left field.
Tried to hold up on that high delivery. 1 ball, 1 strike.
Didn't want to, but did.
Strike 2 on Edmonds. When Edmonds has hit behind Pujols this postseason, an average of just over 200. St. Louis tonight 2 runs on 5 hits. Detroit 3 runs on 7 hits. Two and 2.
Edmonds bending out of the way of that high fastball.
Two-out walk to Pujols. A 2-2 pitch to Jim Edmonds. Tomorrow night, it will be Jeff Weaver for St. Louis against Justin Verlander, the 23-year-old who lost Game 1 to Anthony Reyes. And we'll be on the air tomorrow night at 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific. Forecast is not so hot for tomorrow here in St. Louis. Edmonds strikes out, and for Bonderman, strikeout number 4. Cardinals have left 5. We played 5. Detroit will bat 6th inning, leading Game 4, 3-2. An off night last night, rain out. It's been a good game here. Game 4, 3-2. Tigers lead, 6th inning. Bottom 3 in the lineup for Detroit. John Davidson, JD, now the president of hockey operations for the St. Louis Blues. Blues are basically off this entire week until Saturday. Who do they play? Detroit. John Davidson, a former Blue for a short while, has injected a lot of life into that franchise with Dave Checkett's the owner. Breaking ball stays high. The only downside to Davidson here in St. Louis as the president of the Blues is that he's no longer broadcasting. I literally would watch a game because he was doing it. He and Doc Emmerich in the Stanley Cup Finals this past year were great.
Stanley Cup Finals and Olympic hockey.
Polanco rips one into left, and Preston Wilson, spinning his wheels, makes the catch. 1 out. 1 week from tonight on Fox, Thursday's back with the laughs, starting with an all-new episode of Till Death and Happy Hour. Then it's the can't-miss season premiere of The OC. Fox Thursday returns all new 1 week from tonight. One out, nobody on, and Brandon Inge will be the batter. I said before he flied to center his last time up that there aren't many number 8 hitters in any lineup with the kind of thump this guy has. Not a big guy, but 27 home runs during the regular season. Ball 1. So far he's hit 1 postseason home run. 0 for 1 tonight. Intentionally walked his first time up. On deck is Bonderman, the pitcher. 2-0.
Yeah, Brandon Inge were a third baseman in the National League. He would bat 5th or 6th in the lineup with that type power.
home runs hit at the bottom of the lineup this year for Detroit than at the top. Inge ready to wheel on that pitch and fouls it down the right side out of the reach of Duncan. 2-1. Well, they've got good hitters at the top of their lineup, and then you've got the kind of power that they have at the bottom half. It keeps turning the lineup over. And one reason why this Detroit team won 95 games during the regular season and finished a game behind the Twins in the AL Central. That's on the outside corner. It's 2-2.
That's a good fastball from Suppan right on the corner.
Down and away, full count. If Inge gets on, that will give Bonderman a chance to bunt. Inge grounds it up the middle, a one-out base hit. And that will give Bonderman a chance to try and advance the runner with a bunt.
Fastball over the fat part of the plate. And Inge with his first hit of the night, hit number 8 for Detroit.
And now Bonderman talks to the third base coach, Lamont.
May not know the bunt sign. They use a DH in the American League. I mean, how many times has Bonderman received the bunt sign? So Gene Lamont making sure. Going up and telling Jeremy, you're bunting.
He could have just yelled it out from the third base coach's box.
Right.
Unless Detroit wants to get really aggressive. Bonderman, his career is 0 for 21, and he bunts to the first baseman, Pujols. The tag for the out, 2 away. Down to second is Inge, and Granderson will be the hitter.
Good job by Bonderman. We talked about it in game 1. The reason you bunt toward the first baseman, he's holding the runner on. Good job by Jeremy Bonderman.
So Bonderman helps his case and gives Granderson, who's 1 for 3 tonight, chance for an RBI, and Molina is going to go out and talk. Tonight, Granderson has hit a soft liner to the shortstop, doubled and scored, and struck out this last time. No action in either bullpen as we play here in the 6th inning. As the pitch count continues to grow for Suppan, it lessens the chance more and more that Suppan will pitch as a starter again in this series. Strike 1 on Granderson. If there is a game 7, Tyler Johnson will get loose again. Carpenter would be the game 7 starter on normal rest unless he was moved up for game 6. If there are no more rainouts. If Suppan were to pitch, he would be doing it on his 2 days rest. Runner at second, 2 out, and 0-1. Granderson takes ball 1. Again, rainouts or not, Jim Leland has said whenever we play, we know who our starters will be. Starts with Verlander tomorrow. Then Rogers, then Robertson. Ground ball to first. And Pujols will make the play, just beating Granderson to the bag. And we go to the bottom of the 6th inning. Rolen is set to lead off against Bonderman here in the 6th. 3-2 Detroit here in game 4. Rolen fooled on the pitch. Strike one. Scott doubled and scored his last time up. Rolen rips it down into the corner again. Scott Rolen has his second double of the night, and it comes leading off the 6th.
Bonderman went slider, fastball, and this fastball inside part of the plate. And the fact that Scott Rolen is swinging the bat so much better, good news for the Cardinals.
Now the batter is Preston Wilson, who can go through stretches where he's all or nothing. He's got a lot of power, strikes out a lot. We'll see how the Cardinals want to play it with Wilson.
I think you bunt it straight up with Preston Wilson to start out here.
Tigers don't act like they're ready for a bunt, and it's a beauty. Bonderman gets the out at first. Over to third is Rolen. He's the tying run. Corner infielders were back when Bonderman delivered that pitch. And Wilson got the job done, sacrificed 1-3.
I think one of the reasons that Inge is back at third and back at first is Casey is in the American League. You just don't see that many sacrifices. But it's a vital part of the game in the National League. Tony La Russa playing it straight up to right. Had that ball been bunted down the third baseline, Inge would have had a very difficult play on the speedy Wilson.
Yeah, he was surprised. You could see by his reaction as he jumped when he saw Wilson square around. Now the infield is in. Yadier Molina tying run at third, 1 out.
On a ground ball, Rolen probably will make the ball go through. You don't go in on contact in this situation.
Molina checked his swing, ball 1.
However, if it's a high chopper, the runner at third has the choice of going in. If he can read a high chopper and a ball that takes time getting to a drawn-in infielder, he does have the right to go in.
Saved by Rodriguez. Talk about those fundamentals, and Pudge Rodriguez was out there to save the tying run.
Smothering the slider in the dirt. That's the thing, you try to be too fine with that slider in this situation. With first base open, throw a ball in the dirt could elude Rodriguez.
Three 3-0. Aaron Miles on deck. Then the pitcher spot. Cardinals would obviously pinch hit, and they have a right-hander up in their bullpen, probably Kinney, and it is Josh Kinney. Is Molina swinging? Didn't get a chance, and the walk puts runners at the corners with 1 out. Fourth walk handed out by Bonderman, and now it's Miles first and third.
We talked about the possibility of the squeeze the other night with Preston Wilson up. Aaron Miles, a very good bunter. And certainly Jim Leyland understands Tony La Russa as well as anyone, and that's why Leland's making a move right here.
Fernando Rodney will take over. Bonderman not happy. He's coming out first and third. 1 out. 1-run game in the 6th. Said Jeremy Bonderman was not happy he was coming out here in the 6th inning, and he's not happy. Gives way to Fernando Rodney, the right-hander. Rodney's been very good and busy during the postseason. This will be his 6th game. You can see 1 run he has allowed on just 2 hits in 5 innings. And Jim Leyland goes to get Bonderman after 92 pitches. And now Bonderman has to turn himself from being an upset starting pitcher yanked out of the game to a cheerleader rooting for Fernando Rodney as Aaron Miles steps in.
And once again, the possibility of the squeeze bunt to tie it. Certainly there.
Miles drove home 30 runs during the regular season. Rodney fooled him. Strike 1.
Fernando Rodney with a good fastball and a good changeup. Miles does not look good on the first fastball.
Rodney was 7-4 during the regular season. 3.5 ERA. John Rodriguez on deck. We're in the 6th inning. Tying run at third, go ahead run at first, 1 out. Miles handles the bat well. A guy who was picked up this past offseason from Colorado. At the plate for the biggest at bat of his life to this point. No RBIs this postseason, his first turn in playoff baseball. .95 miles an hour missing. 2-1. Kenny getting loose with Rodriguez getting ready to pinch hit for Suppan next. Changed on him again, and it's 2-2. Good pitch by Fernando Rodney.
That's what makes him so difficult to hit. Fastball count, the changeup. Miles once again swinging through it.
Miles strikes out. Rodney comes out of the bullpen and gets the 2nd out. A brilliant piece of pitching by Fernando Rodney. And Miles is out for the 2nd out here in the 6th.
That's why Jim Leyland brought him in. One of his real strikeout pitchers. After the changeup hit, he misses with 2 fastballs, then changeup to get Miles.
Now Hernandez, the pitching coach, will come and talk to Fernando Rodney with John Rodriguez batting for Suppan.
Tell you, Joe, there are very few middle relievers who are strikeout pitchers, but Rodney is one of them. You have first and third, less than 2 outs, only 1 out. The Tigers needed a strikeout, and they got it from Rodney. Now out there to talk about John Rodriguez as Suppan is out of the game, pitching 6 innings and giving up 3 runs.
8 hits allowed, 2 walks, 4 strikeouts, a home run hit by Casey. Cardinals started with a leadoff double by Rowland in the 6th inning, then the bunt by Wilson, a walk to Molina, a strikeout of Aaron Miles, and now John Rodriguez. A New York City native. Ball 1. Rodriguez was forever in the minor leagues in the Yankee organization. From 97 through 2004. Then in 2005 picked up by the Cardinals, came to the big leagues. A career .298 hitter in the big leagues. in only 332 career at-bats. There's that changeup again, and it's 1-1.
Same arm motion as the fastball. He'll throw it on any count. Left-handed hitters find it so hard to wait on the changeup from Fernando Rodney.
In for strike 2. Rodriguez with 1 career postseason RBI. It came last year. This postseason 0 for 5. Cardinals need to win here tonight if they want a chance to win this World Series before it goes back to Detroit. The Tigers win tonight, they are assured that this series will go back to their home park. The 1-2. What a job by Fernando Rodney. So many good changeups, and then a 97-mile-an-hour fastball to end the threat. Cardinals have left 7 after 6. Still 3-2 Detroit. Back after this from your local Fox station. What a job by Fernando Rodney to get the back-to-back strikeouts with first and third 1 out. His reaction, Pudge's reaction, and then in the dugout, Bonderman making up with his manager Jim Leland after being upset being yanked out of the game in the 6th. And you can understand that from Bonderman's perspective. He wants to be out there.
Yep.
So you like that in a 23-year-old pitcher in his first World Series game, but his bullpen got him out of trouble. And now it's Craig Monroe, Carlos Guillen, and Maglio Ordonez against Josh Kinney. Strike 1 to start the 7th.
However, had Rodney not done the job with the 2 strikeouts, I don't think we would have had that shot of Bonderman hugging Jim Leland.
That moment would not have happened.
No.
Monroe tonight 0 for 3. 3 out of 14 in this World Series. 1 ball, 1 strike. Two, 3, and 4 hitters for Detroit. Top of the order for the Cardinals in the bottom of this inning. Kinney's 1-1. Missing inside, 2-1. Cardinals missing a chance after a leadoff double in the bottom of the 6th, hit by Rowland. The 2-1. Breaking ball is hit in the air to left, and Wilson will come in and make the catch for the out to start the 7th. What a grab by Preston Wilson.
Wilson didn't have a good read on that ball initially, but ends up catching it right off the turf and skidding another 5 feet. Good play by Preston Wilson.
And a clean grab to start this 7th inning with Carlos Guillen stepping in. Carlos has a hit tonight, a walk and a run scored. Guillen takes ball 1. Kenny, the 27-year-old rookie, well-rested bullpen for St. Louis, misses 2-0. Now Braden Looper, who has been in a couple of games this World Series, and Tyler Johnson get loose. Kinney has worked only in game 2. When a third of an inning allowed a walk. The 2-0 to Guillen. 3-0.
Josh Kinney was wild in game 2. He walked Monroe, then hit a batter, then got out of the inning with a fly ball to left field. So behind in the count to a very dangerous Carlos Guillen.
Coming up on Fox NFL Sunday this Sunday. The Buccaneers take on Tiki Barber and the Giants in New York. The Buccaneers have life again. Or Torrey Holt and the Rams look to slow down LaDainian Tomlinson and the Chargers, or other regional action. It all begins this week with America's #1 pregame show at noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific, right here on Fox. Here's a 3-0 to Guillen. He's already swung once in this game on 3-0. He takes ball 4. He's on base for the 3rd time tonight. Now Ordonez is coming up, and Molina is going out to talk. We'll see if La Russa will stick with Kinney or go to Looper. Ordonez is struck out, fly to left, fly to center. He will deal with Josh Kinney, 1 on, 1 out. Strike 1.
That's the thing that Tiger hitters know about Kinney. His breaking ball is his fastball. Most pitchers use fastballs to such a degree. The breaking ball's an exception. It's just the opposite with Kinney. He's a breaking ball pitcher that uses the fastball occasionally.
In the dirt, 1 ball, 1 strike. Suppan went 6, allowed 3 runs on 8 hits. Walked 2, struck out 4. Allowed a home run by Casey. Go to first, and Guillen gets back. Carlos during the regular season stole 20. And the Tigers as a team stole 60. Have not attempted a steal in this World Series. Top of the hour. Just getting there, 10 o'clock here in the Central Time Zone in St. Louis. Game number 4, runner goes. Molina from his knees throws too late. Stolen base, Carlos Guillen.
And he stole that on Kinney, but watch the throw by Molina. This is frightening to have that much on a throw from your knees. The throw is late, but it wasn't his fault.
A laser down to second, and the tag applied a little late by Aaron Miles. Maybe. So Guillen is on at second now with 1 out. It's a 1 ball, 2 strike count on Ordonez. Two and 2. So Guillen gets the first steal for the Tigers. Miles has 1 in this game for St. Louis. Kinney trying to keep it a 1-run game. Strikes out Ordonez, 2 away.
Good slider from Kinney, gets Ordonez. Tony La Russa can go one of two ways, and he's going to get the left-hander to pitch to Casey.
Sean Casey is coming up. He's already 3 for 3, and Tyler Johnson is coming in from the Cardinal bullpen here in the 7th.
This copyrighted telecast is presented by the authority of the Office of the Commissioner of Baseball and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without express written consent.
Our Nissan game summary here in the 7th inning. Sean Casey's had a big night. Ivan Rodriguez finally getting on the board with his 2 hits. Scott Rowland with 2 doubles and a 9-game hitting streak. Top of the hour, Joe Buck, Tim McCarver, Chris Myers, Ken Rosenthal, our producer Pete Macheska, our director Bill Webb.
The other night, Joe, we were talking about Sean Casey and NFL quarterbacks. He is a walking NFL promo because he picks that left leg up before every pitch.
A unique way, as he does right now, Tyler Johnson. His numbers been busy this postseason. Runner at second, 2 out. Johnson steps off.
Here's what we were talking about, a walking NFL promo.
I think the Redskins are off this week.
Interesting, Mark Brunell, a left-handed thrower, picking up his right leg.
Casey hitting lefty, waits for the first and hits it in the air to right. Duncan is there for St. Louis to end the inning. 8 runners left on tonight by Detroit, 7 by St. Louis. Top of the order for St. Louis here in the 7th inning. Eckstein, Duncan, and Pujols against Fernando Rodney, who bailed the Tigers out of trouble in the 6th. Came on with first and third, 1 out, and struck out Aaron Miles and John Rodriguez. 3-2 Detroit. And strike 1 poured over the inside corner by Rodney. These Tigers have some weapons that they can bring out of their bullpen. Starts with Rodney, Zumaya, who can throw 100+ miles an hour. Their closer is Todd Jones. Ball 1 on Eckstein, 1-1. Eckstein 2 out of 3. Off the end of the bat into right center field. Granderson falls down and won't make the play. Eckstein will cruise around second and hold at second with a double.
This field took a lot of rain last night and today. It's still misting here in St. Louis. And it plays tricks on Curtis Granderson as he slips in center field. I didn't realize that ball was hit that far initially. But Granderson falling down and a double for Eckstein.
And that's what these two managers were talking about yesterday when rain was pounding down and baseball finally pulled the plug on Game 4 last night, as the Cardinals will send So Taguchi to the plate, presumably to bunt, with Pujols the next hitter. Now Jim Leyland is going to go out and talk. He has nobody getting loose in his bullpen. Granderson just fell down. And the double is the result for Eckstein. Now Taguchi is the pinch hitter for Duncan. And you have to expect the bunt here.
Absolutely.
With a tying run at second and nobody out. Same situation as we had back in the 6th inning when the leadoff double came from Scott Rowland. A bunt, then a walk, then the back-to-back strikeouts from Rodney. And the elements and the footing leads to the double for Eckstein.
Hey, that was a good recovery by Granderson. Otherwise, Eckstein ends up on third base.
I agree. You read my mind as Granderson did everything he could after falling down to get up as fast as he could Eckstein can run, but he could only make it to second because of the effort by Granderson. Now to Gucci. And the bunt laid out there perfectly, and the throw is high, and this game is tied. That is the fourth error by Detroit Tigers pitchers, and it's 3-3.
One in each game. There is no need to barehand this ball. You take your time, but Rodney hurried the throw to second baseman Placido Polanco. No need to barehand it. You scoop it with the glove. He thought he had to hurry off his back leg. Polanco jumping for it, but the Cardinals take the lead on yet another Tiger pitcher error.
And now with first base open, the Tigers will obviously give the walk to Pujols. Nobody out in the inning. Zumaya getting loose in the bullpen. Edmonds coming up in what is now a 3-3 game in the seventh.
Yeah, I said the Cardinals take the lead. I was wrong, as Joel Zumaya is warming. That error tied the game for the Cardinals.
Here comes ball 3 to Albert Pujols. Looked like Rodney got his legs tangled a little and didn't have his feet underneath him well when he lobbed the ball over to first, over the head of Polanco for the error.
That's what happens when you try to barehand that ball. If you scoop it, you have your legs underneath you. It's a relatively easy play.
Here are the other three pitchers' errors for Detroit. The wild throw and a pickoff by Verlander. The error by Jones in game 2. The big error in game 3 by Zumaya, which turned a 2-0 game into a 4-0 game. And now this one, Rodney with a bare hand, his legs twisted, and that lob over the head of Polanco to tie the game. Most by a pitching staff on one team in a World Series. The 4 errors committed by the Tigers. Now Edmonds, tie game. Strike 1 from Fernando Rodney. Lead runner is Taguchi. He has good wheels. The trail runner is Pujols. Braden Looper is getting loose for the Cardinals in their pen. We're in the bottom of the 7th, a 3-3 game. Good fastball from Rodney. It's 0-2.
What a lethal combination. A 97-mile-an-hour fastball and an 83-mile-an-hour changeup. Fastball right on the inside corner to Edmonds.
Edmonds looking for the go-ahead hit. Rodney looking for his 3rd strikeout. Gucci was bouncing around back at second base, so Rodney stepped off. Time called by Ivan Rodriguez, the Tiger catcher. Now Grilli joins Zumaya. Ball one, and that was an eventful grab by Ivan Rodriguez.
And a very, very good play. You're looking for the fastball on the inside corner. Rodriguez has to go across his body and make the play in here. Good play.
Edmonds pops it up, foul, and out of play. These Tiger relievers have a ton of talent, and the young starters for that matter. But with all that talent, there's a lot of inexperience. And Zumaya made the ill-advised throw to third in game 3, which led to 2 runs. And Rodney didn't get his feet underneath him on the bunt by Taguchi and committed the 4th error by this pitching staff to tie the game and set up now first and second, nobody out for Edmonds. Changeup misses, 2-2. Got him over the inside corner, 1 away.
Jim Edmonds just cannot react quickly enough on the changeup. One of the best changeups in baseball from Fernando Rodney.
Now it's rolling, runners at first and second with 1 out. Cardinals did not bunt with Edmonds. Tonight batting in the cleanup spot. Let him swing away, and in the end he took strike 3 for out number 1. Now Roland, who's 2 for 3 with a pair of doubles. Ball 1. It's a 10 or 11 mile per hour difference between that blazing fastball by Fernando Rodney and the changeup, which, as you said, Tim, has the same arm action.
Yeah. Very, very difficult to pick up for Cardinal hitters.
In at the knees, 1 ball, 1 strike.
One thing with Pudge Rodriguez behind the plate with that strong arm, second baseman Placido Polanco does not have to play as close to second as he's playing. You don't really have to hold Taguchi on as much. He actually should be over about 4 feet, and you take away that hold to the right side. Roland can hit the ball to the right side on the ground.
Tied up and in, strike 2. Rodney stepped off, Roland stepped out. Roland only 1 RBI this postseason. Now a 9-game hitting streak, 2 for 3 tonight. 2-2. 6, 7, and 8 hitters for the Tigers in the 8th. Ivan Rodriguez, Placido Polanco, and Brandon Inge. A lot of games going on between Rolen and Rodney. Two out. That's 4 outs picked up by Fernando Rodney, all strikeouts, and Rolen is now on the list.
Another changeup. Normally a right-hander with the changeup that Rodney throws is effective against left-handed hitters, and the changeup would not be as effective against right-handers, but not so Rodney. He throws it to both left-handers and right-handers.
Now it's Preston Wilson, who started this season with the Houston Astros. Cut loose by Houston, picked up by St. Louis. Playing in his first postseason, 2 on, 2 out. Ball 1. Base hit. Here comes Taguchi. The throw by Monroe to the plate, cut off, and the Cardinals lead. Pujols tagged out, and the 7th inning is over, but Preston Wilson has put St. Louis on top for the first time tonight. Game 4 goes to the 8th inning. Preston Wilson with a 2-out RBI hit. 4-3 St. Louis in Game 4. Preston Wilson got the hit. Pujols was tagged out to end the 7th.
Check both runners, Pujols and Taguchi. Taguchi, the lead runner. The base hit by Wilson. Craig Monroe, the throw a little bit to the first base side, but credit Albert Pujols for forcing Inge to cut the ball off, trading an out for a run. Pujols was a key right there. Inge sees Pujols. He knows he has an out, but in tagging Pujols out, the Cardinals take the lead.
Now Braden Looper takes over here in the 8th inning. Looper worked in relief of Carpenter in Game 3 through a perfect 9th inning, and now he's here in the 8th with Ivan Rodriguez first up. 4-3 St. Louis, Game 4. Cardinals up 2-1, and Ivan Rodriguez has had a nice night, 2 out of 3. One ball, one strike.
It's something that base runners don't do in the early innings, but in the late innings of a tie game, you will gladly trade an out for a run, and that's what Pujols did. Excellent base running.
Monroe had 12 assists during the regular season, which was good for the 2nd best total in the American League. When I saw that play unfolding live, it looked like Monroe had a shot at the runner Taguchi coming to the plate. Inge cut it off, tagged out Pujols, and now Rodriguez is on with a leadoff base hit. What a play by Preston Wilson as he slides, throws to second, still safe with a leadoff double as Ivan Rodriguez. His 3rd hit of the night.
We have seen some terrific plays in the outfield. The one play by Granderson where he slipped down, but that a fine play by Wilson, but excellent base running by Rodriguez. 3rd hit of the night by Rodriguez and his 2nd excellent base running play.
Jim Leland was toying with the idea. And here comes Dave Duncan. Leland was toying with the idea, not for long, of resting Rodriguez, not only because he had been 0 for his last 23, but because he had been bothered by a sore hip and he thought he was pressing. And then he said, well, I just couldn't bring myself to do that. I have to have Ivan Rodriguez and his bat in my lineup, and if nothing else, what he gives me behind home plate with my young pitching staff. So he stays with Pudge Rodriguez, who was on that stretch of 0 for his last 23, and tonight in this game 4, a game that the Tigers need to win, he is 3 out of 4 and starts this 8th inning off with a double. Now Polanco with a runner at second, nobody out.
Normally, Joe, you wouldn't bunt to tie on the road because the home team has a chance to hit again. But with Polanco hitless in the series, Jim Leland may bunt and sacrifice Rodriguez to third.
And he's spun out of there by Looper, ball 1.
So no attempt to bunt. And a guy who still handles the bat well, but as we said, hitless in the series.
He is 0 for 13, but you saw that graphic. The last 2 regular seasons, a combined .388 average with runners in scoring position. Second best in baseball. Trying to go the opposite way, fouls it back. I would imagine Jim Leland would also say that Polanco is so good at handling the bat, he'll take his chances with Polanco trying to ground one to the right side, might get a hit.
Right.
Wainwright the closer, Flores the left-hander, getting loose for St. Louis in their bullpen. Polanco does his job, advances the runner by grounding out to the right side. Miles makes the play, 1 out. And Brandon Inge is coming up. Inge 1 for 2 tonight. He's been intentionally walked, flied out, and singled.
Now Albert Pujols out to talk to Looper. Again, he may be buying time because Adam Wainwright is warming up and he is a strikeout pitcher. And just like when Jim Leland brought in Rodney to strike out Miles with the runner on at third base, we'll see if Tony La Russa does the same thing with Adam Wainwright.
Glasses are off the face of Tony La Russa. Typically he's going to make a change. His glasses are off and he's coming out now to the home plate umpire, Mike Winters, and we'll have a double switch. The pitcher spot is due up third in the bottom of this 8th inning, and the Cardinal closer Adam Wainwright is coming on. Tying run at third, 1 out. Inge coming up for the Tigers here in the 8th. They're right. Coming up next, your late local news, but there is plenty of action before that comes your way. The Cardinals have a double switch. Adam Wainwright takes over. During the regular season, 3 saves. During the postseason, 7 games, 7 innings pitched, 11 strikeouts. And that, strikeouts, the reason why he's in the game. So Taguchi moves from right to left. Preston Wilson is out. And that's the spot where the pitcher Wainwright will be slotted, number 6. And Encarnacion will hit 9th, but the battle now is Wainwright and Inge. Tying run at third, 1 out here in the 8th. Ball 1. With the infield in, Wainwright, who has thrown only 1/3 of an inning in the World Series to this point. Alexis Gomez on deck. Wainwright deals, and a fly ball into right center field is going to tie this game. Edmonds will watch it go over his head. 1 hop off the wall, and Brandon Inge has tied it at 4. A double by Rodriguez. Polanco moved him over, and Brandon Inge has tied it in the 8th.
Brandon Inge getting Adam Wainwright before he had a chance to feature the curveball. A 1-0 fastball, low and away, and hammered to right center field. What a job of hitting by Brandon Inge. Edmonds tracks it down, but Inge has a double as Rodriguez walks home.
4-4 here in the 8th, and now Alexis Gomez will be the hitter. And the Tigers are a well-placed hit away from regaining the lead. Gomez batting for Rodney. Who went an inning and 2/3. Breaking ball is high for ball 1. Joel Zumaya getting loose for the Tigers in their pen. Tony La Russa went to his closer here in the 8th inning, and Wainwright gave up the hit. And now gets a fastball past Gomez. 1-1. The run is charged to Looper. 1/3 of an inning, 1 run on 1 hit. One and 2.
Good fastball from Wainwright to get ahead of Gomez.
Two out.
You can see Molina with the glove up and the pitch up to get Gomez.
Now it's Granderson. Curtis 1 out of 4 with a double and a run scored back in the 3rd inning, trying to give Detroit the lead. Breaking ball high for ball 1. Go ahead run is Inge. His double is tied it. Molina, Miles, and Encarnacion will be the hitters for St. Louis in the bottom of this inning. Strike 1.
There's that tightly wrapped curveball from Wainwright to even the count to Granderson.
The 1-1 pitch. Strike 2. Fernando Rodney went an inning and 2/3. 2 runs, no earned runs. 2 hits. 1 walk and 4 strikeouts. Granderson, the guy at the plate, the man who fell in center field on that leadoff double by Eckstein. Granderson lost his footing. Molina wanted it up there. Wainwright delivered it up there, and it's ball 2. Anderson checks his swing, and it's a full count with Monroe on deck.
I think because Monroe, the right-hander's on deck, that Wainwright will go to the curveball here to get Granderson. That's where the Cardinals have tried to pitch Curtis throughout the series, breaking balls. He is a free swinger, leading the American League in strikeouts with 174.
Got him looking on the curve. but the Tigers have tied it. Brandon Inge with the RBI double off Adam Wainwright. Bottom of the order coming up in a 4-4 game. Beautiful shot of downtown St. Louis from the Illinois side across the Mississippi River, and here is Joel Zumaya, the flame-throwing right-hander, taking over here in the bottom of the 8th inning with Molina first up. .100 miles per hour, high for ball one. Two and 0.
That's the only dent in the armor of Joel Zumaya. Wildness.
It'd be interesting to see what La Russa would do if Molina got on in the way of a pinch runner. On his bench, he's got Spezio and Belliard outside of his backup catcher Bennett, who he would have to use if he runs from Molina, and that decision could be coming here. A leadoff walk to put the go-ahead run on in the bottom of the 8th.
We had a similar situation in the National League Championship Series. And you pointed out, Joe, and you were right, that Molina was being kept in the game because of defense. Okay, the way to get into second base in this situation is to bunt and run. But you can't afford to do that with a pitcher who's out of the strike zone like Zumaya is. I think Jim Leland's out there right now to tell his infielders to make sure one, or reinforcing the fact that Molina is not a fast runner. One of the slowest runners in the National League, in fact.
Aaron Miles will be the hitter. Encarnacion will follow. And then back to the top of the order as Jim Leland makes another visit. He has been very active this postseason in making visits to his young pitchers to say whatever it is he has to say instead of sending his pitching coach out there. No pinch runner for Molina. And it takes an awfully good bunt from Aaron Miles to get Molina down to second.
Unless he bunts it to first base.
No sign of a bunt, ball one. 5 in a row have missed out of the hand of Joel Zumaya. Shut down with fluid on his right wrist after the ALCS began. Worked in game 3 2 nights ago. Another one high. It's 2-0.
6 straight balls thrown by Zumaya.
A world of talent, short on experience. Trying to keep this game tied, and he gets a visit from his shortstop, Carlos Guillen.
Boy, Carlos Guillen not mincing his words with Zumaya.
Two and one, and Rodriguez pops up and shouts out encouragement to Zumaya after Joel finally found the strike zone.
Here it is, Guillen going out to talk to Zumaya.
Now action starts again for the Tigers in their bullpen. 2-1 to Miles. 2-2. Jamie Walker, the left-hander. Jason Grilli, the right-hander, getting loose for the Tigers. This World Series, Zumaya faced 7, walked 3, and then committed that throwing error in game 3 at third base. Miles grounds to the third baseman. Inge out at second and safe at first.
I was surprised that Miles didn't bunt in that situation. We talked about the sacrifice, but Tony La Russa allowing Miles to swing away. Inge gets the sure out. Very deliberate in going to second base, and the throw to first late.
Now it's Encarnacion, who has been put on the bench the last 2 games because of how he's been swinging the bat. He's 0 for 7 in this World Series. 8 for 43 in the postseason and a career 185 hitter in the postseason. But it was a quote in the paper that Tony La Russa read that Encarnacion said he didn't feel right at the plate. And that combined with the lack of hitting. Encarnacion made his way to the bench. Now here he is up 1-on-1 out in the 8th after a double switch. Strike 1.
Yeah, if you want playing time, don't have it printed in the newspaper that you don't feel right at the plate. That happens, you'll be on the bench.
$19 home runs during the regular season. His first year here with the Cardinals in the whole 0-2. Hit .278, struggled through his first 3 weeks with the Cardinals, where he drove in only 1 run. Back in April, and now here on the 26th of October, trying to chase home Miles in Game 4 of the World Series. That one gets away. Encarnacion is out, but down to second goes Miles. First base was occupied. Encarnacion is out for the second out of the inning.
Encarnacion going back to first base as though he should remain there. But with first base occupied and less than 2 out, the batter is out. Encarnacion running anyway, but Miles goes down to second base and is there with 2 outs.
Now it's Eckstein, who's 3 out of 4. His last hit was on the ball that he hit into right center field, where Granderson fell down. That started the 7th. He scored. Taguchi later scored to give the Cardinals a 4-3 lead. Now it's 4-4. The 7th, Eckstein hit it. Granderson fell down. And it went for a double for David Eckstein. Go ahead run in scoring position, 2 out. And a 2-0 count on Eckstein with Taguchi next. Two and 1. The 2, 3, and 4 hitters will bat for Detroit against Wainwright. It's Monroe, Guillen, and Ordonez in the 9th inning. Three and 1.
Just outside.
Eckstein flies one into left. Monroe is not going to get it. And the Cardinals lead it 5-4 here in the 8th inning of Game 4.
Craig Monroe did not look like he saw that ball all the way. He glided toward it, and the ball off the webbing, and Eckstein with a double.
Wow. Now it's So Taguchi with Eckstein at second and 2 outs. Taguchi takes the ball. Clearly, Monroe was in a little with Eckstein at the plate.
Right.
I think that ball, I think you're right. I think it fooled Monroe with how well it was hit and how far it carried. He tried to recover at the end and couldn't get there. And now Taguchi will try to add to a 5-4 lead. Pops it up. It will stay in play, and that ends the 8th. 9th inning in this battle for game number 4 of the World Series. Cardinals take the field, leading 5-4. A game summary. Tiger pitchers have made 4 errors in this World Series. David Eckstein just hit the go-ahead RBI double. And a strike to Craig Monroe to start the 9th inning. And David Eckstein has been the hitting star today for the Cardinals. Hitless until his 3rd at bat in game 3. He reached base 3 times in game 3. He's been on base 4 times tonight with 2 RBIs. Wainwright missing with ball 1 to Monroe. Guillen will follow, and then Ordonez. Craig Monroe with an 0 for 4 night, but 5 home runs this postseason. 2 in this World Series. Flies that one into right. Encarnacion going to it. And it's out of play. Strike 2.
Craig Monroe went over instead of over and back on the ball hit by Eckstein. He takes a different route to that ball. Had he gone over and back, his chance of catching it much better. As it stood, it's off the webbing of the glove, and Eckstein with his 3rd double of the night puts the Cardinals on top.
Now the 1-2 to Monroe. Carlos Guillen will be the hitter with 1 out, nobody on. Adam Wainwright did not take over the closer's role until Jason Isringhausen went down with a hip injury, underwent surgery at the beginning of September. Wainwright, the 25-year-old rookie right-hander, has not been scored upon in this postseason. He allowed an inherited runner to score in the 8th. He's recorded 3 outs in this game 4, all by strikeout. Here's Guillen. You can watch baseball like you never have before. The best picture on TV, DirecTV. Strike 2. Ball 1. Two and 2. If the score stays as is, the Tigers will talk about Granderson slipping in center, the throwing error by the pitcher Fernando Rodney, and the ball off the webbing of the glove of Monroe in left. The Cardinals will talk about timely hitting by Preston Wilson in the 7th and David Eckstein in the 8th. And the pitching of Adam Wainwright. A 2-2 to Guillen. Still 2-2. (5-4) St. Louis leading. Top of the 9th inning. 1 out, nobody on. Cardinals up 2-1 in this World Series. Pujols, 2 out. And the last hope tonight for the Tigers is the man that finished off that 4-game sweep of the Oakland A's with a walk-off home run in Game 4 of the ALCS. In this World Series, however, hitting .143. 2 out, nobody on. Maglio Ordonez, who hit 24 home runs during the regular season, trying to keep this game alive with Sean Casey to follow. Eckstein, the Cardinals take Game 4.